Hi there, good afternoon. Welcome to the 4 to 5. Eric, Lauren, and Stacy with you. Monique will be along in just a minute.
Hey everybody, remember you can watch us on Fire Stick, Roku, and the WFMY News 2 app. And we're also on Facebook streaming live, so jump in the comments and join the conversation.
And we're going to get to your top local headlines in just a moment. But first, we do have some breaking news happening right now in Texas.
Authorities are investigating after they say a gunman shot at least 2 people at an elementary school. One of the victims is a child. Police say it happened at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. That's a city located about 85 miles west of San Antonio.
Officials placed the school on lockdown around 12:15 this afternoon and took a shooter into custody shortly after 1 this afternoon. Right now, information on the victim's conditions is limited, but we do know several other students were taken to a hospital. This is a developing story, so stick with us on air and online as we learn more. Well, now let's turn to your 4 to 5 roundup. New at 4, Governor Roy Cooper made a stop in the Triad. He visited Moore Magnet Elementary School in Winston-Salem today. There he spoke about the North Carolina Education Corps program and working to get 1,000 tutors across state schools. During the event, he also spoke with several students and listened in on their lesson plans. We'll have more on that trip coming up at 5 o'clock. Republican state senators are considering a Medicaid expansion. They're looking into introducing legislation that would make coverage available to hundreds of thousands of low-income adults. Senate Leader Phil Berger says he's open to Medicaid expansion. It's also a top priority for Governor Cooper. Last week, House Speaker Tim Moore said he'd be surprised if it's approved before the legislative session ends in July. Well, Cone Health needs your help restocking its food pharmacy. The need comes at a time when many families are struggling to pay for those inflated food prices. Tomorrow, we're teaming up with the Burrito Nutrition and Education Center to collect food for the facility's pantry. Patients can visit once a week and pick up food while learning about nutrition. The food donation it's tomorrow at the Renaissance Shops on Phillips Avenue from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Items needed include dry and canned goods, as well as diapers and toiletries. Well, you may want to check your pantries because Smithfield Meats is recalling more than 185,000 pounds of pre-cooked bacon toppings. The company said the packages were shipped nationwide and may contain metal pieces. The items were produced on various dates between February 21st through the 23rd and between March 3rd through the 5th. They also have the establishment number 27384 inside the USDA Mark of Inspection section. The recall applies to products under the Smithfield Golden Crisp and a Members Mark brands. If you have the item, take it back to the store for a full refund.
Right now, multiple Jif peanut butter products are being recalled due to a salmonella outbreak. At least 14 people have reported illness from the multi-state outbreak and 2 have been hospitalized. But despite the numbers, we've seen several comments like this on our WFMY social media pages. Already ate half of the jar, so I am not going to throw it away. Or how about this one? Have been eating out of a jar with this number for a while now. Not sick. Dr. Sloan Manning is a family physician at Navant Health. He says any peanut butter products listed in the recall should be tossed out because the next spoonful could be the one that makes you sick.
If you've been eating out of it for a while and you've had it for a while, you definitely want to toss opened, unopened, half used or not used lots of peanut butter that are in that recall. You just don't want to put yourself at risk, because there's plenty of other peanut butter that you can get that's not recalled, and it's better to be safe than sorry.
Salmonella is a bacteria and a common cause of food poisoning. About 1.35 million people are infected every year, with a few hundred dying as a result. Sloan says most people who get sick from salmonella have diarrhea, fever, and stomach cramps and recover without treatment, but in some cases people can become dehydrated and need medical attention.
Typically, the fevers are pretty high, over 102. The diarrhea can be bloody, and people can get dehydrated and very sick very quickly. It's most dangerous, as many other things, for the very young and the very old.
Some of the common causes of salmonella include eating raw or undercooked foods that have been contaminated, Unwashed raw fruits and vegetables can carry the bacteria. Raw eggs and unpasteurized dairy products. Cross-contamination in the kitchen when handling raw meats. Handling of turtles, snakes, and lizards. Sloan says washing your hands, keeping food preparation as clean as possible are some of the best ways to prevent the spread of salmonella poisoning.
So that's what we buy Jif. So now I literally just texted my wife a few minutes ago. I said, pay attention to Lauren's story so we can check it out, because that is going out if that's that number.
Yeah, yesterday morning, actually, Jake was making Baylor a PB&J sandwich. I go, wait a second. I think there was a recall this weekend. So I went to look. Sure enough,
it was a part of it.
It was a part of it. So we had to toss out 2 jars of peanut butter, the crunchy and the creamy. And thankfully, we had another that hadn't been opened yet. And I don't know why we had so many things of peanut butter, but that one was fine. So he had to remake the
that's
sandwich.
like you mentioned the, when you're cross-contamination and raw. Every time I eat oysters anywhere, they always have to put that disclaimer up that, be careful. It always makes me worried, although I love oysters. I've never gotten sick, but.
And just washing your hands, just being careful in the kitchen. One of the things that Dr. Manning had pointed out that I didn't think about, he said salmonella is something really relevant for this time of year to talk about. When it comes to summer, you think about people gathering for picnics and different things like that, and they have that potato salad, they have those deviled eggs. He says when things sit out in that 90-degree weather within an hour window, that's when some of that infection can take place. So he says if you are going to be gathering, folks, they might be running late and stuff, wait till the last minute to take stuff out of the ice chest in order to help prevent that spread.
Now we know.
Yes.
So much things you got to think about all that, and it's like at a picnic. I know that sometimes you go through the line and then you talk to people for a while, and then you may want to go back through a little bit. Don't do it.
Yeah, and
Don't
also for those who have pets, he was saying your pets can spread it to you too, because they could be, into some things.
Who knows what?
Yes.
Some people like to love on their dogs and let them lick their faces and stuff. He said you just want to make sure that you're always being careful in those situations as well.
Well, speaking of picnics, I don't think anybody probably was wanting to have one today, Monique. It was pretty nasty outside.
Today was such a gray day. I mean, we had the clouds. Some folks saw rain, but yesterday, a lot of people got to see some rain. This is a look at some of the rainfall reports from just yesterday. Reedsville topping things off at 3.5 inches of rainfall, really saturating our grass, and a lot of folks' garden really getting a good soaking. Elsewhere, we're looking at less rainfall totals, but still quite significant, because all of this happened within a one-day time span. So we had a lot of rain in a very short period of time. Today, the radar isn't looking as impressive. We saw some light showers earlier today in some places, but where I live in Greensboro, really didn't get to see much. And even here at our station, not really much happening. This is a look at our visible satellite. This is a look at the clouds. So this is kind of like a top-down view from the Earth. And what we're seeing here is abundant cloud cover blanketing our skies. The clouds act like a blanket. That's why I call it blanketing the skies. They literally block the sun from being able to do its magic and warm up the air. And that's why our temperatures have been very cool today. We've been in the 60s. This is nearly 20 degrees below where we should be for this time of year, and actually 30 degrees even cooler than where we were this weekend. So we're talking 60s today, and of course, as we go into nighttime, those temperatures will fall. Now, one other factor that we're talking about is how things will change as we go towards the weekend. It's Memorial Day. I know a lot of folks have a lot of plans out there, and it seems as though the humidity is going to be building back. So tomorrow, very similar to today, mostly cloudy, cool, maybe an isolated shower, maybe just a light drizzle, but the real activity is coming before the weekend. I'll be breaking it all down coming up.
It's been about 6 years, but now fans of the Boss will get what they want. Bruce Springsteen and the Street Band is hitting the road next year. The Rockers announced yesterday that their U.S. arena tour will begin in February of 2023, followed by a European tour in April. No word yet on what U.S. cities will be selected for the tour. The North American dates will be split into 2 segments, with a second leg beginning in August. This is the first time they've toured since the River Tour in Australia back in 2017.
Well, speaking of music, this is a Triad music tradition, and it's back this weekend. It's time for the Music for a Sunday Evening in the Park series, or MUSEP as people call it. I spoke with Ryan Deal with Creative Greensboro to find out what we can expect this year. So Ryan, this is an institution, right? It's been around forever. I mean, MUSEP is, everybody knows about this. Tell us what we can expect this year and maybe a little bit on the history.
Sure. Well, this is the 43rd season of MUSEP, so that's an incredible legacy and a testament to the fact I say Greensboro loves live music. We see that time and time again. It's been an interesting couple of years for everyone. We were all virtual 2 summers ago, sort of a mix of hybrid and in-person last year. But we're excited this year to be back in person for a full summer of concerts spread all across the city in parks and green spaces. And we've got a couple new surprises this year. So we're throwing in food trucks at all the concerts. We've also got art activities at all of the concerts. And so in addition to catching out some of your new or favorite live musical acts from the region, there are other things to keep you engaged and interested along the way as well. There's a great history of folks showing up, with blankets and lawn chairs and picnic baskets. And making an evening of it. I mean, we love live music, but we also love how live music can be a thing that brings us together for shared experiences. And so we're looking forward to getting back to that this summer for sure.
It's so much fun because, as he said, everybody's got the blankets. They're all out. This year they're saying that food trucks, a variety of food trucks will be at each one. Plus there are some other activities. He didn't go into detail, but I think it's probably like for kids. So it's more than just the music this go around. It starts this weekend with the Greensboro Big Band. It's
definitely an event for the whole family and something to look forward to on the weekends when you're like, what are we going to do?
Especially
this is something,
Sunday evening.
Yeah, something perfect. It's something that's kind of relaxed and chill at the same time.
I'm so happy to see all these festivals, these traditions coming back finally after 2 years. I know this morning I saw a press release about the Greensboro Pride Festival is coming back after a 2-year hiatus because of COVID. It's just finally feeling like, okay, we're gonna have a somewhat normal summer. Even despite all inflation and everything that's going on, like at least we have festivals to go to this summer.
And he said that, in 2020 they were all virtual, then last year they were doing a hybrid event, and this year is the first time it's all back. And it is, I've been as a performer and I've been as an attendant, and it's so much fun.
And there's just something about live music. I mean, virtual was cool for us to be able to get it in, at home, but it's just something to be able to be in the crowd with other people.
Oh yeah,
and having the games and food and different things. It's a totally different experience.
And it's family friendly. Like the one thing he wanted us to emphasize is the fact that bring the kids.
And it's outside.
Outside, kids run all over the place and play. Bring a picnic basket. It's awesome, and it's free. Food you have to pay for the food truck, but the event itself is free.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
It's a good deal. All right, we're going to take a short break, pay some bills. We're coming right back.
Died
Oh,
after
this
a
is
shooting
so
at
sad.
elementary school. It happened at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. That is a city located about 85 miles.
We're back with another update to that breaking news in Texas.
Hospital leaders say at least 2 people have died after a shooting at an elementary school. It happened at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. That is a city located about 85 miles west of San Antonio.
Uvalde Memorial Hospital says the ambulances transported at least 13 children there. Police did say they have the shooter in custody, but have not released any more details. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on air and online at WFMYnews2.com, and we are anticipating a presser coming up soon, a live presser from there. We'll keep you updated.
Powerful winds uprooting trees, floodwaters trapping cars, storm surge crippling the coast, and quick tornadoes ripping off siding. Just a few examples of what hurricanes can do. Hurricane season officially begins in about a week on June 1st. Hopefully it is nothing like last season. So far, we are doing okay with nothing active in the Atlantic, but that low that brought us torrential rain yesterday forced the National Hurricane Season to issue its first tropical outlook. That system came and left, but the Caribbean is just starting to heat up. Now, this is a look at the National Oceanic Atmospheric Advisory predicting that another year of above average calling for the hurricane season. So we're talking above average season with 14 to 21 named storms, with at least 6 of them becoming hurricanes and at least 3 of them being major. Last year this time we were already tracking Tropical Storm Anna, and by the end of the season we swept through all 21 names with 4 major hurricanes. Now, NOAA Administrator Nick Spinrad spoke earlier today on the season's outlook.
These storms have taught us many lessons. One of the most important is that it's never too early to prepare for the devastating impacts of hurricanes. And while we're here today to preview an outlook of what trends will shape this year's hurricane season, it's crucial to remember that it only takes one storm to damage your home, neighborhood, and community.
I think that's key when he says only one storm. I mean, just recently off the coast of North Carolina, we had that low that was taking those homes literally right out to water. So it just takes one storm to do some bad damage.
And my question about that, you know, for those on the coast and then those like where we live, is it something that we should be more so concerned about, or does everyone in general that lives?
Everyone that's within, you know, the possibility of getting impacts. We more so see flooding, and then we also may see some tornadoes that spin up here. But on the coast, they'll see the storm surge. They get the higher winds. We still get high winds here.
Yep.
But I mean, the flooding is a bigger thing for us, which we even saw last year with Tropical Storm Fred over in Western North Carolina. There was a lot of flooding there.
And when we had Michael, and there were some other ones too that really just, I mean, we had power outages here as a result of even some flooding down east. So we can see the effects of that. But Monique's right, tornado is the biggest concern for us, depending on where the track goes.
Monique, me and you were talking earlier about how, you know, you've covered a lot of this in the past and that experience and how dangerous everything is and how scary and just troublesome it can be.
You know, as a meteorologist, and I know Eric can speak to this too, we forecast this and we see, you know, what wind speeds it could possibly be, but we don't really realize what the damage will look like from it. So when the reporters come back or the viewers send us photos and we see what it actually looks like, I mean, it's heart-wrenching because we'll say 100-mile-per-hour winds or 120-mile-per-hour winds, but when we see what that does, it hurts.
It's a whole different ball game. So I went through Hurricane Hugo on the coast, which was a Category 5. And then I did 2 Category 2s in North Carolina coastline. And when you're there through it and then you see the next day, unbelievable. Everybody says war zone, but that's exactly what it looks like. Buildings, I saw homes blown off foundations and moved across the street, but still intact as a house. Like, it's crazy.
So as we head into this season, what are some simple things that people can do to start preparing now?
Making sure you have flood insurance. I think insurance is like a big thing because you never know what it will bring. And I remember when I lived along the coast, a lot of people didn't realize what their insurance covered. So then that's one big area that people can look into because we don't know what the season will bring. We don't know, like I said, I could tell you the winds when something does happen, but I don't know what that will produce. But you need to make sure you are protected, your home is protected, and your belongings are protected.
And have a kit, you know, people just say kind of the kit, the bottled water and that kind of stuff. Even for us, I think that's important to a much lesser degree than if you're at the coast, but if you have relatives or friends that live down there, they need to be ready with a hurricane preparedness kit, and you can get all that online.
Great information.
We'll be right back.
Today, Coach Lamont is getting down to the real problems in relationships. He says it's related to one factor that you can't get away from. Take a listen.
Believe it or not, not everyone we come into contact with is the problem. Did you ever stop to think that maybe it's you? I say this because many of us are unaware that self-perception are the eyes in which we view the world and the people in it. We are oversaturated with meism and expect the entire world to see and understand things the way that we see them. We were created with our own minds and opinions, and we must respect the fact that others may not see the world as we do. We must not use that as a reason to punish others, but to learn and teach so that perspectives can be shared. Don't throw the world away because it doesn't agree with you. Challenge it and watch how your perspective could possibly change for the better. This is Coach Lamont. Make today your best you day. I'll see you tomorrow.
So some of us have seen rain today, but not everyone. And we're going to look at much of the same weather pattern to continue for tomorrow as this boundary continues to remain to our south and kind of relatively stationary. Now, the next big rainmaker won't be until Thursday night and then going in through your Friday. And that's going to be due to this cold front. It's going to be making its way closer to the central Piedmont. And then just ahead of it, we'll see the possibility of more showers and storms. So let's take a look at the futurecast, kind of showing us the picture here. It's cloudy now. That's what we're seeing, the white, and then Wednesday staying just a cloudy, cool day. And some of those clouds could spit out a light shower or a light drizzle. Continuing through your Thursday, start of the day should be dry, but the afternoon, that's when we'll see that cold front start to produce some showers and storms, and those will continue through the start of your Friday. But the weekend is looking a little bit drier. When we talk about how much more rain we can expect to see, well, some places could get a real dumping with any of the showers or storms that develop Thursday night into Friday. Going to continue to track that. Haven't shown the 7-day yet, but here you have it. You can see Memorial Day weekend is looking dry and temperatures back in the 80s. And next week, oh, we're soaring on up there. 85 on Monday, Tuesday at 86 degrees.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the 4 to 5. You are joined with Eric, Stacy, Monique, and Lauren. All of us are here today.
Third person.
Do what?
Third person.
You introduce yourself.
I am a third person.
And as always, we are live on Facebook. Make sure you join the comments. Talk with us during the commercial breaks. We'd love to hear from you.
And while you're pulling up your Facebook live feed, let's go ahead and talk about the one thing on the minds of many: rising inflation rates. Gas prices have hit a new high every day for the past 2 weeks, and while that's definitely impacting the average American, truckers say diesel fuel costs are skyrocketing too.
Yesterday I seen fuel prices like $6.39 a gallon.
Now that was in Pennsylvania, but oftentimes truckers have to gas up wherever their route takes them. Those big rigs can hold more than 100 gallons of gas.
A regular fill up would have been, just say 6 months ago, about $700. Now it's about $1,000.
Right now, the Biden administration is considering tapping a rarely used diesel reserve to help ease prices. He says the U.S. exports more than 1 million barrels of diesel a day. The White House is also working to get more baby formula to American families. An Air Force flight from Germany carrying an emergency supply is expected to arrive in Virginia tomorrow. Sunday, a cargo plane with 39 tons of hypoallergenic formula landed in Indiana. And 43 states, nearly half of formula products were recently out of stock. Formula maker Abbott hopes to reopen its shuttered Michigan plant next week, but it might take 2 months before that formula arrives in stores.
Despite the rising inflation, economists say people are still getting their vacation on. Experts say millions of Americans are hitting the road and heading to the airport this holiday weekend. AAA reports that more than 39 million Americans will travel 50 or more miles for Memorial Day. That's up 8.3% from last year and brings travel volumes almost in line with those we saw back in 2017. Aside from gas being up, the U.S. government reported that in April alone, the cost of airfare surged more than 18%, the largest monthly increase on record. After looking at those numbers, clearly a lot of people have cabin fever. If you too are in a need of a little vacation splurge, here are 6 ways you can save money on a daily basis.
There's so many different ways you can save money.
Financial advisor and family man Rolandus Johnson says he's had plenty of conversations about saving money as of late. Right now, every little bit helps, starting with gas.
You have some kind of strategic way to where you're not driving as much if you don't have to.
Number 1. Plan to run errands only 2 days a week to save on gas. This will force you to make multiple stops in one trip so you are not driving across town every day for that one thing you forgot. Number 2, meal plan your dinners. If you make 3 dinners a week and make twice as much as you normally would, then you can have enough for leftovers.
I love leftovers, so that's just me. But
which will save both money and time. Number 3, buy the items you use every month in bulk. I'm looking at you, toilet paper. Number 4, and this is on the tougher side, reevaluate your entertainment and streaming services. If you're being honest, you probably don't need a cable package and Disney Plus and HBO Max and whatever else you have. The following negotiations may result in a small war in your household, but you will save money eventually. Number 5, pay off your credit cards. Sure, that could mean less money in the short run, but over several months, it will be the smart financial move.
You have to kind of do the math, say, hey, what is that interest rate, or what does that interest look like extra? And if I can pay it off now, I'll save X amount of dollars that I won't be spending later on.
And finally, at number 6, if you were planning to entertain the kids this weekend, just go to the park. Even if you can cut those costs, don't cut the time with your loved ones.
School itself is stressful, and you want to take your babies to go do things. You want to, take them to go have some fun. I call it investing in memories. That's what I call it.
That is some good advice right
true.
there. I was just having this conversation earlier about eating out a lot, because I usually do the meal prepping and stuff, but I have fallen off the bandwagon and I've been splurging a little too much, but that's where a lot of my money goes that I could probably cut back on.
You know how I noticed that? Pandemic. During the pandemic, when I wasn't going out at all, and I remember looking at my check, did
Wow.
I forget to pay a bill? I had to go back and check bills, and I said, oh, it's not eating out.
Yeah, that will really get you, because you think about it, you get a meal, you get an appetizer, maybe a drink or two, that's like $50,
Easy.
you know, easy.
Yeah, and also just running to get coffee, that adds up. Like if you go to Starbucks every morning or even just a few days a week, that's
it
a lot of
does,
money.
especially if you get the fancy stuff like the
Exactly,
oatmeal and all that.
yeah.
Just
Like
get you a
$5,
Keurig,
$6.
get you a $6 box of the little K-cups. You can really cut back.
It's
with
true. But that last one he talked about, all the subscriptions.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Ooh, that one is a little tough.
That is tough.
That's
to
the
think.
hardest one,
If you
I
really
think.
think about it, you probably just need one. But then you're like, well, this came out on this, and this came out on
Yeah.
Disney Plus. I got to see this on
We
HBO.
cut the cord for a year, I think, and did over the air combined with streaming services, and I loved it, but my wife didn't like it as much, so we went back to that. But I kept YouTube TV, which is a total waste of money, but I love it so much because you can save everything for a year.
Yeah.
So I'm paying like $60 a month that I should not be paying.
Yikes.
It's
well,
a lot.
He gave a lot of great options there. So there's some way that we can, you know, cut back a little bit, especially in the entertainment and food department.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, in the midst of your Memorial Day fun, don't forget about an important election date coming up in the Triad. Right now, there are several local races that still aren't finalized. On July 26, Greensboro voters will pick the next mayor and fill any open city council seats. Voters will also make the final call on 5 bond referendums, different from the Guilford County school bonds. The total $135 million for many different projects around the city. Finally, any primary races that were too close to call will hold runoff elections.
Aside from local elections, parties are also rallying votes for November midterms. Though it's still very early, candidates are turning their attention to the next presidential election, which has some voters thinking about whether a former commander-in-chief could reclaim his seat in the Oval Office. WFMY News 2's Megan Malaris verifies the rules and exceptions to presidential terms.
With nationwide primary elections wrapping up, campaigning is full steam ahead to the November midterms, and those outcomes will set the wheels in motion for 2024. President Joe Biden already has said he plans to run for re-election for president, but who will be the Republican nominee? Former President Donald Trump has been rallying his base, signaling his potential rerun for the nation's highest office. And because he served only one full term, viewer TK asked, if Trump were elected president again, could he potentially serve 2 more terms? The answer is no. Let's verify. Our sources are the U.S. Constitution, specifically the 22nd and 12th Amendments, and Jason Husser, political science professor and Elon poll director at Elon University.
When George Washington became president, he served 2 terms and then stopped being president. This set a norm that every president followed until Franklin Roosevelt, who was elected to 4 terms. After Roosevelt died, the 22nd Amendment was added to the Constitution.
Presidential term is 4 full years, and the 22nd Amendment states no person shall be elected to the office of president more than twice. It also stipulates no person who has held the office or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term can be elected president more than once.
A half term doesn't count against this. This means the Constitution has an exception that if a person became president, say as a vice president who ascended to the presidency, that person could go on to serve 2 full terms, meaning you could have a person who was president for almost 10 years.
But what if a former president became vice president, then had an opportunity to finish out the president's term? The 12th Amendment says no person constitutionally ineligible to the office of president shall be eligible to that of vice president. So it's unlikely a former 2-term president even could serve as VP.
This is something that hasn't been fully tested, but most scholars think that the Supreme Court would not allow this, meaning that the limit is still 2 terms plus potentially a half term prior to serving those 2 terms.
In conclusion, we verified the claim is false. President Trump could not serve 2 more full terms if re-elected president. He could serve only 1 more 4-year term and likely would not be able to be vice president thereafter. With your Verify, I'm Megan Malaris.
If you have a question or claim you'd like us to verify, just email verify@wfmy.com and our team will look into it.
It's a little nasty out with the off and on rain. Right now we're going to take a live look at our Burlington sky cam. You can see the raindrops on the camera there and the flags just flowing back and forth. But Monique, at least some of this nastiness brought in some cooler temperatures.
It did, and interestingly enough, it actually hasn't rained recently in Burlington, but just because it's so cool, those raindrops really haven't gotten a chance to evaporate. It's not warm enough for them to do that, so that's why we're kind of still seeing a little glimpse of those droplets on our camera view. You can see the current temperature in Burlington, 62 degrees and cloudy outside. Cloudy kind of everywhere. Danville's seeing some spotty showers, but when we look further south at Southern Pines, 74 degrees. The boundary is kind of splitting the central Piedmont and areas south of us. So if you are anywhere south, their temperatures are in the 70s. So we're on the cooler side of that frontal boundary. You can see those winds coming in out of the north. A very weak high pressure system is in place around Greensboro. The wind's a little bit gusty at times through today, and wind breezy as of now at 13 miles per hour out of the north and east. These dew points have fallen to the 50s, so it feels less humid today. So tomorrow, that's going to be kind of the same story. The humidity is still taking a backseat. One element of good news here for today: the pollen, so low. In fact, grass pollen and weed pollen not even reported, but the tree pollen was very low from all that rain we saw yesterday. And as the forecast calls for more rain as we go into the start of the weekend, it looks like that pollen will stay on the low side. So for tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, the temperature is staying in the low 70s. We could see an isolated shower or a light drizzle out there, but for the most part, it should be a mostly dry day, very similar to today. Now, I'll be back with your full 7-day before the 4 p.m. hour ends.
Four to 5 fam, you're in for a special treat. Normally you have to wait until Friday for your news to review, but today you're in luck. Photojournalist Manny Franks has an early week special on an action comedy playing in theaters right now.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent stars movie great Nicolas Cage, but is that enough to get News 2 approved? Let's find out.
Many actors, naturally, have a larger-than-life theatricality to them. They inhabit these respective personas in hopes to disappear into their roles. And then there's Nicolas Cage, an actor oozing with such over-the-top energy that he's almost a legendary character in and of himself. That's the basic premise of the film, the unbearable weight of massive talent, a tongue-in-cheek love letter to a larger-than-life figure.
The guy that owns this house, what's his name?
Javi. Mr. Cage.
Excuse me, is Javi going to want me to, you know?
I'm not sure I understand.
Look, it's Javi.
I am Javi.
Nick Cage.
Nicolas Cage takes on his most challenging role yet, himself. Yet when the actor begins to feel creatively unfulfilled and financially unstable, Nick Cage is forced to accept a $1 million offer to attend a wealthy fan's birthday party, played by Pedro Pascal. What starts off as an awkward encounter takes an incredibly sharp turn into the absurd as the thespian is recruited by the CIA to take down his affluent fan. Nick Cage must utilize all his characters if he is going to get both his family and himself out alive. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Well, it's because it is. The utter manic and absurdist humor when main stars Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal share any scene together is gut-bustingly funny. The film, and in particular these two actors, guide the audience with a very playful wink in nearly everything they do. From a mindlessly over-the-top third act to smaller gags related to climbing a wall, Massive Talent proves to be the best comedy of the year so far in terms of laughs. All that praise aside, the dramatic heart of the film lacks any sort of poignancy, and the character growth of Nick Cage's, well, character just seems to happen without any sort of earned weight. The script doesn't know what to do with anything outside of comedy, and subsequently, the emotion really falls flat. We're left waiting for the next joke, and while they do hit, you miss their presence once any surface-level emotion is brought in, and believe me, they try. As I mentioned before, Massive Talent is a love letter to the man known as Nick Cage. Even now, I'm torn on which of my ratings I should give it. I liked it, but I know others won't be thrilled by it. So, I'm gonna leave you with a caveat. If you have seen any Nick Cage film and liked it, give this a watch. Otherwise, I'm giving The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent a tentative for you to decide. You can watch this comedy only in theaters.
Austin tweeted it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's changing by the minute.
It is changing by the minute. Yep, you can get a mic check, but I doubt I'm going to be on. We're going to probably do all of this Texas shooting stuff.
We have another update to that breaking news happening in Texas.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says 14 students and a teacher are dead after a school shooting.
This happened at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, which is near San Antonio. Officials say the shooter is dead. The governor also believes law enforcement who responded to the shooting killed the suspect. It's just a tragic update. It is hard to take in that 15 have been killed there. We are awaiting an update from officials in Texas shortly. We'll keep you updated on air and online on WFMYnews2.com. But now we want to get a quick check of the forecast.
Are in the 60s, and then when we look further south, we're talking 80s. Can you guys hear me on that? We're talking temperatures.
We can't get your microphone, Monique, so you want me to step in real quick and we can take over. So if you look at our temperatures across the region right now, we'll work on that, see if we can't get that fixed. 62 in the Triad, 83 in Fayetteville. Look at this cooler air moving in. You can see it's pushing all that warmer air that we had over the last couple of days onto the east. And when you look at dew points across the region, anytime you see that 70s, that's a tropical dew point, which means really, really humid. And we were like that earlier and in the overnight hours. But now when you're in the 50s, though, that's a dry patch of air that's moving in and kind of chasing all that moisture away as it moves on to the east. A lot of you, myself included on this one, dealing with pollen. Here's what the pollen forecast looked like. It says low right now, and the rain helped that before. If you were suffering last week, yeah, that's kind of the way it was, and the way it hopefully will not come back for a while, although we do see a drier weekend starting to push back into the area. So you look at the forecast, we're going with some isolated showers. That'll be mostly cloudy with an isolated shower or two, and 71 degrees for tomorrow. The humidity, though, if you look at it day by day, we're still fairly humid. We'll be comfortable as we head through midweek, but then it'll shoot back up, and we have a couple of systems that'll be moving by, and we'll watch those dew points go into the 60s as we go into Thursday and Friday. A little bit of a reprieve there heading into Saturday, but we're right back up there again into the 60s for humidity, and that'll be for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday as well. So just know that we're not quite finished with all of that heat and humidity, that's for sure. And when we take a look at the Triad area of what is happening over the next day or two, we'll talk about staying cloudy and cooler. Wednesday, it'll be mainly dry. Showers and thunderstorms possible, and that's as we head to Thursday night into Friday. There is a chance of severe weather. Watch for that, especially Thursday night and into the overnight period. By the time we get to Friday afternoon, we're hoping that front will have moved by. It'll be a better situation for us, and thank goodness that at least for the weekend, things are looking much more doable there. We've got mostly sunny skies. It'll be dry. Temperatures will start to warm back up a little bit. You can see in the short term that high pressure moving on to the east, but everybody wants to know about it's Memorial Day weekend coming up. Your forecast with late day chances of showers and storms. That'll be Thursday, maybe the first half of the day on Friday before that clears out. So let's go with a 40% chance on Thursday. Highs will be in the upper 70s, not too far from where we should be this time of the year. And then Friday, that 60% chance. That's our best chance for the next several days. Looks great though as we head into the weekend, especially on Saturday. That's a mostly sunny sky. Overnight lows for the most part in the low 60s, and those highs will go into Saturday and Sunday with sunshine and low 80s. Very comfortable. Our average high is 80 this time of the year. We'll warm it up as you wrap up your Memorial Day weekend there, jumping back up to 85 degrees on Monday. That's only a 20% chance and probably a normal summertime pop-up shower or storm. A 30% chance as we go into Tuesday. And again, those highs still will stair-step it up a little bit. As we said, we'll go up to the low 80s for Saturday and Sunday, and then some mid-80s on Monday and Tuesday.
It's time for my 2 cents. Today is National Brothers Day, and the perfect excuse for me to brag on this guy, my little brother Cameron. We're 5.5 years apart, so growing up we weren't quite as close as we are today. When I was in high school, he was still in elementary school. But now, he is one of my best friends and honestly acts more like a big brother to me. He's extremely intelligent. He graduated from college a few years ago with a triple major in accounting, finance, and business administration. He's now studying to get his MBA, all while working for the Arkansas Legislative Audit. He's married to the most wonderful human. He's the best Uncle Cam to Baylor, and I know one day he'll be the best dad. He's someone I go to for advice on my 401k, someone who always understands my sense of humor, and someone I will argue with about politics for hours. but he's someone I can't imagine my life without. I'm so thankful to have him as a sibling. And if you don't have a brother, you probably have someone in your life that's like a brother. Don't forget to tell them today how much they mean to you. That's just my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now.
Wow.
Everybody, like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hi, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana.
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Check, check, check.
And an Oreo cookie thing forever go together.
The owner of Green Bean on Elm says someone took a chair from a nearby business and threw it.
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check 1.
We are on top of breaking news out of Texas, where Governor Greg Abbott confirms 14 students and 1 teacher were killed in a shooting at an elementary school.
It happened at Robb Elementary in Uvalde.